So we're going to replace this pump and the fluid in this video. I'd recommend jacking it up and putting it on stands. You're going to be turning the wheel from stop to stop quite often. It's going to make it much easier to do that. So our plan is to pull out all the old fluid, change the fluid while we do this, and we're going to take it out of the reservoir first and then pump the rest of it out, or at least as much as we possibly can get out. Okay, the reservoir is empty. Yeah, this is the dirtiest fluid I've ever seen. There's a number of ways to do this. What you have to do, though, is get into the return line. That's the upper one going into the reservoir. And I'm taking it off right at the reservoir. Then I'm going to hook up a little fitting on there and hook a piece of clear vinyl to it, pump it out that way. A 3/8 inch hose barb and 3/8 inch vinyl tubing is going to get us in there. It was a tad loose, so I put the clamp back on. We're going to pump this into a gallon bottle. I'm going to throw out this pump, but if you're not replacing the pump and just the fluid, don't run it long without fluid. You can burn it out. Okay, we definitely pumped up most of it, or as much as we can get anyway with this method. Well, we have 22 ounces of coffee here. I'm concerned about this filthy fluid, so I'm going to put a little plug on the return port on the reservoir and put in some clean power steering fluid and flush that through there. So we're gonna flush with this Honda-like power steering fluid. O'Reilly says it's to their specs, but we're just going to run it through there to clean it. From lock, I'm turning the wheel from lock to lock as I force this fluid through there. Yeah, it's just now starting to come. Taking a while, but there it comes. Out of the bottle, this fluid was clear, so we are still picking up some of the old dirty fluid. So it's still kind of dirty. We'll run some more through there. So that's what it looked like, the final fluid that came through there. I'm satisfied that I got as much out as I could. Next step is to take the belt off. When I do that circ belt, I always disconnect the battery. This pump feed hose is kind of annoyingly in the way, so I'm going to take this out first. Definitely plug this hose. You don't need to remove any hardware to take the reservoir out. Just pry that tab there, that metal tab, and then lift up on it. And again, you don't have to take out the reservoir, but I want to clean that bottle up good since this was such dirty fluid. You've been a bad boy. Now you have to stay after class and clean up this mess. This goes to show, despite all that pumping, there's still going to be fluid in there. This is 10 millimeter. There are two of them on this flange. When you pull this off, I'd recommend wrapping it up a little bit, so there may well be some oil coming off of it. Okay, it's stuck. And there isn't any fluid on the pressure side of the pump. It's easier to slip this off the alternator than it is to get it off the power steering pumps. Take it off that first. And one of the problems with this is it's going to bottom out over here on this engine mount because it comes back further once the belt is off, and you're not going to be able to remove this now. This setup worked fine for just changing out the belt, but with the pump being involved here, I think it's going to be in the way, so we're going to rig this a different way. The performance toolkit I'm using has an extra bracket you can bolt on to offset your toolage when you try to take off the belt. So here we go. Yeah, now I can take that serpentine belt tool off and just leave the belt in this general position so you don't have to re-rig the whole thing. This pump really couldn't be in a more convenient location for removal and installation. They're the same length. So I took some time to clean out this reservoir. I'm using some lacquer thinner in there. And I also blew the hoses out with some compressed air. Now we're going to be installing a new Cardone pump. I'm just going to snug this right now. I'm going to look up, see if I can find a torque spec. Now with a torque wrench, I'm going to go to 16 foot-pounds. This certainly isn't the sort of operation you have to use a torque wrench on. You can just snug it up good and tight. Again, I'd refer you to the entire video that I have, which covers in great detail how to take off and install the belt. Okay, now we'll slip it over the alternator. All the way back, make sure it's on everything. If the belt slipped off, here's the diagram. Yeah, just making sure it's centered on all the pulleys. Now let's push down and snap that reservoir into place. I installed new screw-type band clamps on everything. The original factory clamps are on here, which make big, deep indentations in there, and I'm not confident those are going to seal after they've been moved and put back into position. On this car, that lower clamp right there seemed to be seeping, losing fluid and possibly allowing some air into the system, so I put a new clamp on there. And now we'll install the pressure fitting on the pump. I'm putting a new O-ring on there as well. It came in the kit. And make sure you put a little clean power steering fluid on that O-ring. Honda fluid is a must-use for this job. I'm adding fluid as it goes down to try to prevent gaps where air is going to get into the system. This is one of those cases where you really do need a helper to turn the wheel and run the car. And this can take a while as we kind of work the air out of the system. You can see it bubbling up in there. Okay, it's running great now. What we're going to do is pull out a sample of the fluid. I'm going to probably do this from time to time. Just a small sample. Might have a bit much in there. Have a look at it and make sure there isn't something happening in here. Fluid, air getting in there, water, something. This looks pretty good. I think we'll just keep it right in the middle between the upper and the lower. We're kind of shading toward the lower right now. There, right even between the upper and the lower. Okay, thanks for watching. And please subscribe.